In the quiet stillness of the presidential palace, Ibrahim Traoré sat hunched over a cluttered desk, the soft hum of a single lamp his only companion. Outside, the night cloaked Ouagadougou in shadows, but inside, a storm brewed in the papers before him. Each report painted a picture darker than the last, whispers of rebellion, betrayal, and danger closing in on the fragile peace he fought so hard to build. His fingers trembled slightly as he flipped through the documents, the weight of the nation pressing down on his shoulders. Suddenly, the door creaked open. Marie, his trusted assistant, stepped in cautiously, a sealed envelope gripped tightly in her hands. Her eyes met his, and in that moment, no words were needed. The gravity of the message was written plain on her face. "This came just moments ago," she said softly, voice barely above a whisper. "It's urgent, Mr. President." Ibrahim took the envelope without a word, his heart already pounding in anticipation. The seal broke with a faint crack, and inside, the pages revealed something he never expected: a plot to overthrow his government, mapped out with chilling precision. His gaze stopped on a name: Amadou Diallo. The very name felt like a punch to his gut. Amadou wasn't just a name on a list. He was a brother from another life, a companion from the dusty streets of their childhood, someone he had trusted with his dreams and his future. How could this be? Ibrahim whispered to himself, the room suddenly feeling colder, emptier. Betrayal wasn't supposed to come from family. Not from Amadou. Marie stood silently, watching as Ibrahim grappled with the impossible truth. The air thickened with unspoken questions. How deep did the betrayal run? What would he do now? Ibrahim sat back in his chair, the weight of betrayal pressing down on him like a storm cloud. Memories flashed unbidden, the carefree days chasing dreams through Bondoui's dusty streets, the promises whispered under the same stars now hidden behind heavy clouds. Amadou wasn't just a name on a page. He was family. His generals had insisted he send a secure unit, armed, prepared, cautious. But Ibrahim's heart wouldn't allow it. No, he told them, voice steady but resolute. This isn't just about power. It's about trust. I must face him alone. The drive to Bobo Dioulasso was quiet, save for the hum of the engine and the thundering of Ibrahim's thoughts. He thought about Amadou's laugh, the way they once dreamed of lifting their country from hardship. How had those dreams turned to schemes of rebellion? At the edge of the city, a small house sat beneath a lone street lamp, its paint peeling like the layers of their friendship. Ibrahim knocked, the sound echoing through the still night. The door creaked open, revealing a gaunt figure: Amadou. For a long moment, they simply stared, two ghosts of a shared past now facing an uncertain future. What are you doing here? Amadou's voice was a mix of surprise and wariness. Ibrahim's eyes searched his friend's face, reading the cracks hidden beneath years of camaraderie. I could ask you the same, brother. Amadou stepped aside, motioning him in. The room was sparse. A worn chair, a few faded photographs pinned to the wall, including one of them as boys, eyes full of hope. I know why you're here, Amadou said finally, sinking into the chair. His voice carried the weight of guilt and conviction. Our people are suffering, Ibrahim. And I can't watch from the sidelines anymore. Ibrahim shook his head slowly, frustration mixing with sorrow. I hear you, Amadou. But turning against the government isn't the answer. It will only plunge us into chaos. Amadou's eyes dropped, torn between loyalty to his cause and the bond they shared. I wanted to make a difference. To be heard. But no one listens, not even you. Ibrahim moved closer, placing a steady hand on his friend's shoulder. Then stand with me. Together, we can build what we dreamed of, without tearing everything apart. For a moment, silence fell. Then, tears traced paths down Amadou's face. I was wrong, he admitted quietly. Is it too late for me? Ibrahim's nod was firm, full of hope. It's never too late to choose the right path, brother. We all stumble. What matters is that we rise again. The drive back to Ouagadougou felt heavier than before. Ibrahim's mind churned with the conversation he just had. Amadou's confession echoed in his thoughts, a mixture of remorse and fierce conviction. The man who once shared his dreams had now admitted his betrayal, but also his hope for redemption. As Ibrahim entered the grand meeting room, the atmosphere thickened with expectation. The generals and ministers awaited, eyes sharp and questioning. The weight of leadership settled firmly on his shoulders, a leader torn between justice and mercy. General Kabor was the first to speak, his voice edged with urgency. "Sir, what did you find? Shall we move to detain the conspirators?" Ibrahim took a slow breath, steadying himself. "Amadou has confessed." His actions were born not of greed or power, but from a deep frustration with the state of our people. A stunned silence followed. Many had braced for harsh retribution, but the president's words hinted at something different. "I have known Amadou since childhood," Ibrahim continued, his voice firm but laced with emotion. "He was among the first to believe in the vision I hold for this country. I cannot simply cast him aside as an enemy." The Minister of Justice stepped forward, concern clouding her face. "Mr. President, this may be perceived as weakness. Pardoning a traitor could embolden others to follow suit." Ibrahim nodded thoughtfully, understanding the gravity of the risk. Leadership is not solely about punishment. It is about healing and rebuilding trust. We must find a way to correct wrongs and bridge divides, not deepen them. He announced his decision clearly. Amadou would be relieved of his government post, but rather than exile or imprisonment, he would be assigned to work directly with the rural communities, the very people whose voices he sought to amplify. Murmurs of approval and skepticism rippled through the room. Some ministers applauded the humane approach, others feared its political cost. The following day, Amadou appeared before the palace, bearing the weight of his shame and gratitude. His voice trembled as he addressed Ibrahim. "I don't know if I deserve your trust after all this." Ibrahim placed a steady hand on his friend's shoulder. "Trust isn't given lightly, brother, but everyone deserves a chance to prove themselves anew." Back within the palace walls, the night wrapped around Ibrahim like a heavy cloak. He wandered slowly through the quiet gardens, the cool breeze stirring memories as he mulled over the day's events. The faces of his childhood, his people, and Amadou swirled in his mind. A complicated tapestry of hope, pain, and responsibility. How do you lead a nation when the fiercest battles are fought not just on fields, but in the heart? Ibrahim asked himself quietly. The choice to forgive, to seek healing rather than vengeance, felt like a gamble. A risk not just to his power, but to the fragile unity of his country. As he gazed upward, the stars above seemed distant yet steady, silent witnesses to his resolve. "How can I truly lead my people if I cannot forgive my own brother?" he murmured, the question hanging in the stillness. Soft footsteps approached. It was Marie, carrying a steaming cup of tea, her presence a gentle anchor in the swirling storm. "You look weary, Mr. President," she said quietly. "Is there anything I can do to help?" Ibrahim allowed himself a rare smile. Sometimes the hardest path is the one that demands doing what's right, not what's easy. Marie nodded knowingly. "That's exactly why so many look up to you. Because you choose the difficult road." He sighed, feeling the weight of leadership a little lighter with her words. "I hope you're right, Marie. I truly do." The morning sun spilled over the horizon as Ibrahim gathered his ministers and generals in the palace's grand hall. The air was thick with urgency, the weight of recent revelations pressing on every face in the room. "I will not allow a handful of traitors to jeopardize the future we are building," Ibrahim began, his voice steady and commanding. "But justice must be tempered with fairness." He looked each minister and general in the eye, the resolve in his gaze unwavering. "We will move swiftly to detain those who conspired against the state. However, those who show genuine remorse will be given a chance to make amends." Whispers rippled through the assembly. The message was clear. Zero tolerance for treason, yet room for redemption. General Kabor nodded approvingly. "A strong but just course, Mr. President. It sends a message without burning bridges." Ibrahim detailed the plan. Arrests would be made immediately, and trials would be held to uphold the rule of law. Meanwhile, those willing to rebuild rather than destroy would find a path back to honor. As leaders, our strength lies not just in power, but in our capacity to forgive and heal, he said, sealing the decision with conviction. After the storm of politics, Ibrahim sought the calm of the countryside. He traveled to a village north of Ouagadougou, where the scars of conflict lingered in the eyes of its residents. There, among simple homes and dusty paths, he met Fatou, a woman whose strength was measured not by wealth, but by the quiet resilience she carried. She held a faded photograph close to her heart, a memory of the husband she lost in earlier turmoil. Her voice trembled as she spoke, "Mr. President, I don't ask for riches or grand promises. I only want my children to grow up in peace." Ibrahim placed a comforting hand on her shoulder, moved by the raw honesty. "You have my word, Fatou. We will work tirelessly to build a future where peace is more than a hope, it is a reality." Nearby, a journalist scribbled notes, capturing the moment of a leader who didn't just govern from marble halls, but listened with his heart. In that village, hope seemed fragile, yet real, rooted in the promise of change. After a long journey from Bobo Dioulasso, Fatou arrived at the community's innovation center, a place once unimaginable, now a symbol of transformation. The air buzzed with quiet excitement, neighbors gathered in anticipation, faces bright with hope. Marie, Ibrahim's steadfast assistant, moved among the crowd, tears glistening as she coordinated the final touches. Nearby, Malik, once sick and fragile, now stood healthy and proud, clutching a board filled with photos showcasing the community's achievements. Ibrahim stepped onto the stage, wearing traditional Burkina Faso attire, a simple but powerful symbol of identity and pride. His voice carried warmth and conviction as he addressed the crowd. "Today is not just about numbers or policies," he said, emotion thick in his tone. "It is about honoring those who, with their hands and minds, have built the foundation of our nation." His gaze pierced the cameras, as if speaking directly to distant critics. "To those who doubted, I say this: our strength lies in everyday victories, in the resilience of communities coming together." The crowd erupted in applause as images of thriving farms, bright classrooms, and young innovators filled the screen behind him. Fatou was invited to speak. With a shy but determined voice, she held up a worn book, her mother's legacy. "My mother always said that knowledge is the greatest gift we can pass down. Today, we fight not just for survival, but for dreams." Ibrahim smiled, touched deeply by the truth in her words. A reminder that leadership was about nurturing hope and empowering people. Far away, in the United States, a live broadcast caught the attention of former President Trump. Watching Ibrahim's speech and the vibrant images of progress, he admitted with a rare note of respect, "This man is something else. He's showing he can lead on his own terms. Maybe I underestimated him." The world took notice, a testament that genuine leadership and compassion can bridge even the widest divides. Back in Burkina Faso, Ibrahim continued his mission. Visiting a small rural village, he met Mamadou, a young girl who shyly presented him with a handmade school uniform, a symbol of hope and opportunity born from recent land reforms. "This is for you, Mr. President," she said softly, her voice filled with emotion. "We are using what we've been given to learn and grow." Ibrahim smiled, moved by the simple yet powerful message. "You don't just owe it to us, Mamadou. You're proving that when people are given the right tools, they can change the world." As the sun set over Burkina Faso, Ibrahim Traoré stood not just as a leader, but as a symbol of resilience, forgiveness, and the unyielding power of hope. In a world too often divided by suspicion and strife, true leadership is measured not by the power to punish, but by the courage to forgive and the wisdom to build a future together.